to join. I know it's right at the end of everyone's days, so just want to respect that and give people an opportunity to join us. All right. Renetta, I think we'll go ahead and get started, and people can kind of follow along as they.
I agree.
Okay, Chief Blocker.
Hey, for those who did join us, and I know this is being recorded, and we'll probably use it again, want to really just say welcome. Welcome for first taking the opportunity, and thank you for taking the opportunity to join us tonight after a busy week. This is really important to us. Sir Robert Peel said a long time ago that the police are the community and the community are the police. And that's really important to understand in that even though police, we fight crime, right? We're there to respond full time all the time, and we're paid to pay attention to it. But that doesn't remove that inherent role and responsibility from really all of us as a community. And so to that end, it's just as important for me to understand what are the real perceptions of the community about how we're doing, how we're performing, how our policies and our culture are interacting on the ground with the community. And so that's what this meeting and a series of meetings that are planned are designed to do. 2 virtual meetings and 2 in-person meetings, and maybe even a few more if we have to get more perspectives from members of the community. But it's important for us to be able to see this, and it's important for us for your participation. And I guess there's really just one thing. I'm going to be getting off. There'll be no other members of law enforcement or senior city staff on here. This will be a safe space for you to share your comments. And again, I look forward to seeing the conclusion at the end and continuing the work together that we're doing in Battle Creek. Laura or Burnett, is there anything else you need from me? And if not, I'm gonna get on.
No, sir. Thank you for paving the way.
Okay, have a great night. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So in full transparency, there are 2 city accounts on this call. They're there so that they can live stream this event as well as provide translation services. So those are the 2 users that you can see on this. There are no active participants from the city. I just want to clarify that. So myself and Vernetta Mitchell are from MGT. We are a third party involved in this work and what this work is. Right now, the city is undergoing an equity audit. And this is phase 2 of the approach. Phase 1 was an internal HR review to identify barriers to hiring within the city so that it reflects the community as a whole. Phase 2 is evaluating the police and community relations, and really looking to identify both internal and external barriers to community relations within the police department, and then also identify how the police department is being perceived by the Battle Creek community. So that is where we are in this process. Our team has evaluated policies provided by the police department. The other aspect of this is gathering community feedback. So that's why we're here tonight. We have a series of questions for you all to participate in and provide feedback, create a dialogue. So that is what Bernetta and myself will be doing. So My name is Laura Opheim. I am with MGT. I am one of the facilitators tonight. I have a background in urban planning with a focus on demographic planning and background in community outreach and facilitation, as well as DEI training. Vernetta?
Good evening, everyone. Vernetta Mitchell, Director of MGT, working alongside Laura, facilitating this conversation today and the conversations throughout the next couple of days and next week as well. So I have 20 plus years experience in community facilitation, focus groups, stakeholder engagement, interviews, collecting, gathering, and analyzing anecdotal comments, your feedback, your experiences, and telling a story that represents the community and what's happening, and derive recommendations or modifications to policies and procedures from your input and your feedback. So that's why it's very important to hear from you in this meeting today, our other live meetings that we'll have, as well as our 2 in-person meetings next week, which we'll talk more about those later.
Thank you. So for those that are watching via live stream at a later time, there are multiple ways to provide your input. If you are unable to attend any of the meetings in person or the next virtual meeting on Tuesday, you could email battlecreek@mgtconsulting.com with your thoughts. Alternatively, you're able to leave a voicemail at this phone number, and we will make sure that this information is in the chat. It's on the city flyers. So we want to hear from you all. There are multiple ways to participate. So whatever mode of communication is something that you prefer, that's perfectly fine. So kicking ourselves off here with the conversation. What community activities or engagement by BCPD have you found impactful?
Laura, I'd like to start by trying to get an idea of how many community members we have on the call with us or participating today. If you're a community member and not a part of the staff that is live streaming, or Mary, who is interpreting for us today, just use the Zoom feature and raise your hand, or come off mute and raise your hand, so we will know how many participants we have with us today. No one?
Yeah, it's I'm here. I didn't know
Hi.
I didn't know how to make it do it what you said do. So
That's okay. That's why I said you can come off mute as well. If
Yeah.
you just know how to raise the hand feature, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my name is Wooly Taylor. Yeah, I'm just a community member.
Well, very important
for
member of
joining
the
us.
community as well. Thank you, Willie. And I see we had someone else from the community potentially join us. So that's good to know that we do have some community members with us today. And so, as we talked about before, as Laura introduced to during our intro, we really want to talk about the engagement, perception, experiences with the Battle Creek Police Department and the community. And so, you know, there are several elements to that community engagement. And so we know that Battle Creek Police Department does try to do and have done several community activities and events. You know, I know that they participate in activities such as National Night Out. They could participate in communities and schools and things of that nature. So we want to know, have any of these activities that they have done or have planned over the next couple of weeks or months, are they beneficial to you? Do they give you a sense that they're really trying to make sure that they're engaged in the community?
It's been a reaction. been mixed. You know,
Okay.
since I say since late 80s, early 90s, just me and my family, we always been in contact with them. But the positive thing is that it hasn't been one for us. So, you know, that's why I'm here. It hasn't been one for us. And I'm able to just discuss the things that matter to me, and how equitable it is for just my color and how they treat us.
Yeah. So I without any assumptions, what is your racial or ethnic background?
I'm Black and I'm a male.
Okay.
I'm 59. So
Okay.
I've been in Battle Creek since the early 70s. I graduated from Battle Creek Central High. I graduated from KCC.
Mhm.
You know, and I just became a new business owner. But
Congrats.
yeah, but for me though, it's how it's how I'm being treated, and it's how disrespectful it is. And so how can I respect somebody who won't respect me? And it's just that all my interactions or the people that you know that agree with me, they say the same things, that it's one side that they cater to, and then it's the other side who they automatically convict. So
Mhm.
I'm on that side that they always convict. So
Mhm.
for me, it's been a hassle. And so, and, I'm just trying to find some way that I can be friends with them, but I can't find one. So, so for me, it's just stay out their way, because, every contact we have, it'd be abnormal, and it should be a normal reaction. It should be like a neighbor. How you doing, Mr. Taylor?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the conversations that we had, we earlier talked about there are two phases to the equity audit that we're conducting for City of Battle Creek. And one of the first phases was kind of to get the staffs or the BCPD. Let me just say the police. That is those four letters are difficult to say together. Let me just say the police.
Yeah.
We had some conversations with just them on their perception. And strangely enough, what you're saying, Mr. Taylor, about just that perception is almost identical to what they also feel, the police feel, is understanding and kind of feeling that that's how you feel. And so there seems to be somewhat of a sense of hesitation a little bit. So how can the community and the police figure out how to have that professional respect, that courtesy? What are some of those steps? And Victoria, we acknowledge your hand. Let me finish this thought with Mr. Taylor, and then I will come to you. But what are some of those key things? Is it more accountability when an officer disrespects a community member? Is it more accountability when an officer says something that is inappropriate or wrong? Or does it go deeper than that as well to also kind of stop it at the criminal justice system altogether?
Yeah, just about what you just said. It's all of that. It's all of that wrapped up into like to one, to me, So
Okay. How difficult would it be to have, and I know tough conversations are hard. They're hard when you
Yes.
have them with people you like.
Yes.
They're probably even more hard when you have them with people you don't like, if you're going to be honest, right?
Yeah.
How difficult do you think, like on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being extremely difficult, how difficult do you really feel the community, yourself, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your friends, how difficult would it be for them just to walk up and say, you do this this is disrespectful, this is what we want to change?
About a 4, 5.
Mhm, mhm. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah.
It really is when you already know how they feel about you. When you already what they're gonna do to you. You already know by the line and the questioning what they're trying to do. So it's for me, it's an example. You know, when across the street, they came to my house. They was all rough and ready, you know, with the guns pulled. They came the next door. They came across the street. It was all nice, talking to him all nice, you know, like going out and take a time out. With me, it was rough, you know. It was just pure rough, you know, and I went to jail, but I beat the case, you know. But it was just you know, the communication he gave to me versus my color and his color. You know, I seen that, and you know, most of my people, they say the same thing. You say you see that, you know, he makes a difference, and they do make a difference. They make a difference, and when they get you in that car, they say certain things, and they don't care, you know, like like bullying. You know, that's one of my social missions. They tried to bully me to open my phone up when that wasn't even really my phone. So, you know, it's stuff like that. You know, it's little stuff that they've been doing, and it needs to stop, you know. And so it's only going to create a harsher environment for them because of the conditions that we already in.
Okay. Thank you for that. Victoria.
Yeah, I had a question. So I went on the city website and I also went on Facebook to look for the live streaming, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So this is being live streamed where and how can people access that? Because that information is not clear, nor is it stated on the website or on Facebook of it being live.
I will need to reach out to our contact at the city and can provide that information. I do not have the link itself, but it is being live streamed, so I can get that information.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how
I
found the live.
What'd you say?
I said I found the live stream. It was on the website. I went to W3 to WTV3 Channel 3 News on the website, and I found the Zoom.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't see it on the link that was sent to me by someone in the city earlier via email. But then also with this recording, is this recording going to be posted and be accessible to community members later on?
It should be, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to find the live stream also. See if I could find it and share it in the chat. Okay. All right, Laura, I'm sorry. I started asking questions and
You're fine. You're fine. So, Mr. Taylor, knowing, I guess I want to, Vernetta, potentially just pivot, knowing that we have low turnout, live turnout, and skip the poll everywhere questions and really just have a conversation with those that are on the phone or on the Zoom. So, Mr. Taylor and whoever else wants to participate, what areas do you think could be improved with outreach to community members? What would be impactful for you?
Better communication. Community outreach. It should be more personal. It should be more personal where that respect is there. And we should see more people that look like me. that makes a difference. You know, if you're gonna police me, at least let me see a part of me being policed so I can understand why. And so don't look to the racial part so quickly.
Yeah. So when we were talking with human resources and city staff and the police staff in phase 1 of the equity audit, we asked the questions about demographics. You know, does the police department, does the city, all of the city departments and services and staff, do they represent the community in which they serve, right? You all pay taxes, and all of those services are something that you should have access to. And that was something that is another reason why we're doing the equity audit, is to try to figure out how to create that city that represents the community. And one of the challenges of the police department is people of color do not want to be police officers. And so that becomes a challenge when you're trying to find representation of officers who can relate when you're in certain situations, when you need to call on law enforcement and you don't have anyone that looks like you in that car to come help you with a car accident or something like that. So what type of outreach, or where should that outreach begin to encourage, particularly from young people all the way up, to potentially want to be law enforcement?
Well, we have to market. They have to market it to them. You know, you have to market like, I like you, and I want you to work with me. You know, work beside me. Mm-hmm. You know, they never marketed to Blacks like that. You know, they never marketed to them. They just to me, when I look at the police, I look at a bully using his power and his authority to gain control, but it's really he losing control, because the more he engaged in that negative is only going to get higher and higher. And so at this point in my life, it's no interaction. I don't want no help from it. If I didn't have things that I had to report, but I don't want them in it. You know, I can figure it out for myself, because they just make it even worse, you know. And so that diversity training, it only works if they willing, you know. Okay. And it will not work if their consciences don't allow them to change or want to change. Some of them don't see that they're even wrong. You know, my arresting officer said, y'all all just alike. That really hurt me. It really hurt me. And I never said nothing. He thought something was wrong with me, but I don't want to be harassed. You know, I don't want to hear that. Take me on down there and do what you need to do, but you don't need to talk to me. We don't need to have no other interaction. You ain't a lawyer, you know? And so that bullying, like, it's going to scare me, and I'm going to tell him something. I ain't tell him nothing. I just did what my lawyer said. And when she got down there, she did what she needed to do when I'm out. But it's just after that. Now I got him. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with this negative view, because I beat you somehow in your mind. I ain't beat you at nothing. I just want to be left alone. I want to do what I'm supposed to do, be productive in my community and build it, not tear it down. So, but diversity training is number one, but they gotta be willing, you know, they gotta be willing to change, you know. And some of them just want to just do their job, when that's not going to pan out in this time and age. And what we're going through, it's not going, it's going to be more damaging for them.
Okay. Victoria or anyone else? Victoria, did you see the link in the chat as well to the live stream?
We lost Victoria.
Oh, we did. Okay. Thank you. Okay. You want to go to the next question?
Yep. So our next question that we are hoping to get some feedback on is, what media option do you use to access police activity. Are there any particular sources of information that you would like the police to utilize? Do you get information from Facebook, any sort of social media? Is it newspaper? Is it from other community members? How do you access information?
Well, most of us, myself, I access it through the newspaper or through websites with news websites.
Okay.
Like public news. Sometimes it'll flash across. If you sign up, it'll flash across, the screen, and then you'll push it, and then it'll go to the article and stuff like that. But word of mouth is pretty much how I get most of it.
Okay.
And then I research it and to find out.
So you mentioned word of mouth. I'm curious, and then researching to follow up what people are talking about. Generally, with the follow-up research, are you finding that what people are talking about via word of mouth is accurately portrayed in what's available online?
Most of it's accurate, but when you get down to the the bits pieces, yeah, it's not accurate, but long as they got the full part. The little stuff, the little stuff is how they write it up, but yeah.
Now, going along with this theme, do you feel like there are other methods that you would want to potentially hear about police activity in your community? Would you want to get updates from any sort of town halls or any text messaging services or anything like that?
For me, getting information, it pretty much comes when I want to research something or I move to check something out. But as far as getting information from the police station, it could come across the screen. It could be some place that I could go. I think it is a place where they have some stats, but not nothing. That like if something happened in my neighborhood like last month, I don't have that. You don't get that across your screen. That I would like that. Just to let you know what they're doing.
Okay, I am going to move on to our next question. Bernetta, I'm sorry, I apologize. Before I move on, were you fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So our next question was, what BCPD youth initiatives and engagement activities are you aware of? I know, Mr. Taylor, you said that you grew up in the area. What is your impression of youth engagement, both then and what current initiatives are being implemented?
At this point, I really don't know what implements they doing now. Because I try to keep that interaction to a zero.
Yeah.
Because it's not that interaction to me has never been positive. So my kids, everybody, they know the routine. I tell them day over and day out, what to do, what not to do. We do that, but sometimes when they engage us, it seems like they engaging us to do something. So
trying to egg you on.
Yep. But it sometimes, it's just my point of view, I mean, I'm just one person in the community, but, it's more people like me that's really don't know how to voice their opinion or scared to, but, no, I'm an observer. So an observer, he just observes and watches and jot them down. That's what I do. And so I when I see something, it behooves me to try and do something about it, but I'm useless. And I'm at a point where, now it's just the frustration, and I ain't the only one the frustration is building up, because it's these bully tactics that they're using to try to solve things when actuality it's increasing it more.
And anger and resentment spreads like wildfire. Even if you haven't been directly impacted, the energy from that anger just consumes others around you. That can be very difficult. And I would definitely imagine that would cause a lot of people to be on defensive for no reason.
And not only that, but intentionally doing something to harm another person. My son was, I hate to go back there, but in 2011, my son was killed, and
I'm sorry.
He was killed from an article in the paper that said he wouldn't work with the police. It was a mob killer, and the police said that he wouldn't work with them. He know who did it, and he know who did it or he did it. So it was a mob killing, and they mobbed him. They shot him like 11 times in the back. So, for me, I don't have no empathy for him, I don't, I just want to be able to treat each person right, if you're wrong, you just wrong. And for us to be able to get along with the police have to respect us regardless of a criminal. You respect the criminal until he's been proven that. For me, I'll never forget that day. They didn't care. Who they said he was bad. They said that he was this and he was that. Well, you have to find ways to lock him up. You just don't create a way to get rid of somebody, because it'll come back to you. And so, for me, it was just like, I couldn't leave because I got work to do here. So I'm doing it.
Is there anyone else with us that, and very sorry for your loss. Didn't mean to have you bring that back up. Is there anyone else with us that have some experience or knowledge of youth initiatives and engagement activities that the police department have in place or that you have utilized before? No? Okay. All righty. Laura, we have any other questions?
I'll take myself off mute there. So the next question we had was, in what ways could BCPD be more transparent with the community?
Just being open, being open and being honest with why they doing certain things. But say like, for instance, they following you, and you don't know why they following you. Why they can't just approach you and just try to interact to see where it's going, to see if it's false information that they on. That's my thing. They never try to communicate to see if what the information they receive is, and seeing that's they never want to engage. They always talk about work, but they got a job that really determines work, and the work don't actually mean just with your hands. It means mentally, it means physically, spiritually. It means all that. So for me, it's to see them change. It's to see them begin to show us that they change, that they respond, that they respect us, irregardless of what they think we are.
Absolutely. And definitely would you agree, definitely be more transparent about their own biases and faults?
Yes.
Like everyone else has to be transparent about their faults. I have to be transparent about my faults.
Yep.
Laura has to be transparent about hers. If there's going to be any growth or improvement, you have to be transparent about those faults and those biases.
That's right.
And that will eventually come through to the community, because you can tell the action and the tone of the officers at that point in time. You can tell their action and their tone that they're working to be better at what they're doing.
Yep.
And engaging more with the community.
Yep, the genuineness, it'll come out, it'll come out in the smile, the handshake. It does.
That's right.
It means a lot. It means a lot. But to approach them, that's a no-no for us, man. If you've been in their path, it's a no-no. They're up to something, and so that's just the way some of us feel. I'm one of them. I can't speak for everybody else. I'm just speaking for me, because I got history with them, and so I need to be able to be more productive around them and with them, to be able to make my community better.
Do you feel that you see the same officers patrolling the community in which you live, or places that you frequent, that you see like the same officers?
Yep, doing the same thing, harassing certain people, just doing stuff to make them seem like they're busy, doing stuff, but really they're not busy. You just harassing people that don't need harassing. What they need to be is engaged. Sometimes they feel like they don't have to engage, but they do, because it'd be the negative engagement.
Okay. That's interesting. And like any place, just like work, and I please don't take this as I'm defending anybody. But just like any place that you work, you'll have a few people who just kind of push the envelope just a little bit more than they absolutely should and need to. That's why I was asking if you kind of saw the same police officers in the places that you frequent and where you are. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very good to know. Very good to know.
Yeah. Yep. And it needs to be, it needs to be an array of people. And they did just bring on, mental health. They've been needed, not just for the customer, needed for the officers.
Yeah.
And I feel them, but the community, the Black community, we've been over policed for a long time. So when I live by all my only one Black over here, but the rest of them just white neighbors. And soon as one make a call, they come straight to mine. Like my house is it, but it's not. It might be down the street. He might have came to the wrong house. So it's just like I don't. For me, it's being able to just watch them. Watch them and seeing if they doing what they supposed to be doing. And sometimes they are, but it's just the way they go about it.
Do you feel there is a sense of, do you think that there is more of a level of accountability more present now that officers are being held accountable? Do you feel that there is now an opportunity for a gateway to communication?
No doubt. No doubt.
Mhm,
It is,
mhm.
but it has to be willing though.
That's true.
Be forced to push into it, it won't do no good.
That's
I mean,
true.
you might learn, but you won't put it to use, because of past practices. And
Mhm.
so practices won't enable you to transform what's coming new, unless you, but yeah, I agree with
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else want to provide some input or feedback?
If you don't want to do it in this forum, I just dropped it in the chat and mentioned earlier, if you prefer, you can email Battle Creek at mgtconsulting.com or call 989-260-6330 and leave a voicemail. We have gotten some feedback actually during this call. So we are actively monitoring that. People are utilizing those methods of communication to provide feedback. So we appreciate that.
Mhm. Laura?
So our last kind of general topic here was, what recommendations do you have to improve police community relations? I know, Mr. Taylor, you've mentioned training, DEI training. Is there anything else that you would like to see the police department do to improve the relationship with the community?
I got them, but it's hard to get them out when you really supposed to. Well,
You can, and you seem like an individual who will have some other very useful and impactful thoughts. So as you're thinking about them, please feel free to email them to them. They come directly to us. As a matter of fact, they go directly to Laura, and then we internally share it. It doesn't go to the city of Battle Creek. It doesn't go to the Battle Creek Police Department. But one of the things I heard you say was having those difficult conversations when we were talking about the scale of 1 to 5, Mr. Taylor, and having those difficult conversations just to kind of get it on the table. It hurts, and there will be some hurt feelings, but you have to learn how to not deal with them, but get through them.
That's right.
You have to learn how to get through them and figure out what's on the other side, and know that there's something different on the other side of getting through those difficult conversations. And so maybe one of the recommendations based on the question that I asked you, and particularly with you giving a response of 4 being, pretty difficult to have that conversation, is maybe a facilitated conversation between the community and the police, and just put it all on the table and see, and learn how to work through those feelings, and not only feelings, but those actions as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone else on our call today who have some recommendations on how to improve relations?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. There are several things that are going in my mind. Chief Blocker is very open to the community. He and some of his staff have held community meetings along with our mayor, city manager, Rebecca Fleury. There was one down at Friendship Park. I think it was last year. But you could also contact Chief Blocker by email or even by phone and leave a voicemail if need be. And he's very good about listening and very good about getting back to you. He cares. But the police have a very difficult position. And I'm not, they're called upon to do a lot of different activities
Mhm.
for which they're not trained
Mhm.
in the social, cultural aspects of the community.
Mhm.
Where it's not just Battle Creek. But they are also at great personal risk for the things that they do.
Mhm.
And it's a very difficult job to have. I can understand that. It doesn't explain the things that have gone wrong,
Mhm.
but there has to be some understanding of their point of view as well.
Mhm.
But at the same time, what I would like to see
Mhm.
is more awareness of what all the police does cover. What all are they called out to handle?
Mhm.
So people can have an understanding of what they face.
Mhm.
We know of domestic violence,
Mhm.
but we don't know that it can be anywhere from someone's boombox being exceedingly loud in a house and so the neighbors thinking it's an argument, to someone who's there with a shotgun. And we've had killings of the police in the Kalamazoo area in the past year or two.
Mhm.
There have been killings of police for traffic stops.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I want to believe this, and I do. Most of the time, they're trying to do the police job, but at the same time, there's so much in the life of their life and also the life of the people they're encountering
Mhm.
that complicates that stop. But if we just had more of an awareness of what happens in the police life,
Mhm.
we would have a better understanding of working with them and hopefully helping them. An
Mhm.
example in Battle Creek is that there have been changes. I was at a community meeting about 2 years ago, and the police on their own, but they got some donations from some of the nonprofits to do an outreach to the homeless camps.
Mhm.
And that was a little bit of a little step towards what happened last year with us getting an additional shelter built here in Battle Creek.
Mhm.
But that didn't get any press that I was aware of.
Mhm.
So we don't know that the police were trying to help the homeless. All we have heard in the press is how the police have gone out to remove the homeless from under the bridge and other sites. So we don't get the full picture
Mhm.
of what they do. There have been police. I don't know what the word is, that have gone out to not target the prostitutes that we have, but to go out to chat with them and to try to get them into social services, human services, housing, medical care. And the difference, this was about 3 years ago, I think, Chief Blocker spearheading it. He then added going after the customers. So don't blame the women, blame the men who are seeking that. But the police deal with situations that are truly, I'll say criminal. But there's a lot of that wouldn't happen. Let's say the wrongdoings, if the rest of the world would address what leads to those wrongdoings, which is homelessness, not secure housing, food insecurity, health issues, mental health. We need to do a total holistic service, and have all that working together. There have been a few folks added to the police department that I would like to know more about. There's some in her group that is supposed to help with social issues, but we haven't heard that much about it. But that would bring a bit of humanity to the police department, to know that they have that they care, they're trying to help the social situation locally.
So that right now, right there, I've heard a couple very good points that you've made that can lead to, how do you bridge that gap between the communication? And right there where you're talking about getting the word out and communicating the new services. So like the mental health person that they have hired to try to help with everything's not necessarily on the surface a violent action or act that is taking place. It could be a mental health crisis that is taking place that appear from the surface. Somebody who's not trained thinks that it's a violent act. So to talk about those, we'll definitely note that as one of the steps in building that police and community relationship is understanding the services that are there and really how can people tap into those services. But at the same time, I think you're absolutely right. And all we see is SG, so I'm calling SG. You're absolutely right, SG, that there are a lot of things about police services that the average person does not know about. And it is helpful when you have someone that could either make or break your life, right? You either somebody who's going to be there to help you because you're in a crisis, a car accident or whatever, or someone who is going to target you and arrest you and give you a criminal record. And now all of a sudden it's broken your life that you have known. So when you have someone that is in that quote unquote position of power, it's important to kind of understand what their roles and responsibilities should be. At the same time, there has to be accountability to that. So you bring out a lot of very good points that there has to be that balance. And that's really difficult to do. Like our previous speaker said, those tough conversations. And it's really important to have.
Well, one of the things that could easily be done is, and Cassandra Cooper's on this group. She and I have talked about a newsletter, a chatting kind of newsletter. So what I'll put on Cassandra's list of to do is to consider doing some stories about some of the situations that the police find themselves in with all the different facets that are happening in that one situation, which is not a crime. One of the wonderful things that had come about, this has got to be about 3 years ago, is that I don't know who signed on to this, but it's between the police and the schools, the Battle Creek Public Schools, is that if there's an event that happens during the night and a child is there, maybe not intimately involved in that, but the child is present. then the police are committed to calling the school in the morning and telling the school that that child was involved in an incident that previous evening or night, so that the school can reach out, the counselors can reach out to that child who no doubt has some degree of trauma and help that child that day and longer. That is an example of what the public should know more about, so that they know that there is a compassionate, caring, activity to the police that is connected to our schools and is connected to our residents.
So it seems like you are aware of a lot of these activities, and I'm just curious as to how you became aware of some of these, like the addition of the mental health person to the force. Could you describe how you became aware of them and what you might recommend, as whether it's the newsletters that you're talking about or how other people can access this information?
I read everything I can get. I poke and prod, and I annoy people, seeking information. It's not easy. In no way is it easy. In no way is it comfortable. And sometimes it's downright painful. And it shouldn't be that way. But there is a great deal of services and help in this community. But the people don't get that information, and I'm working on that. And I'm trying to get people to help with that, and that's hard. And one of the things I want to know more about is MGT, why you were chosen, what you do. I've been to your website, and to have more conversation. But that's another point in time.
We'll be happy to talk with you.
Yeah.
Well, but it's Gellum is one of the things that the city, and I don't say city government, I'm saying the city. And I have this how I my image of the city is that there is an inner circle of people who know things, who do things, who decide things, who determine things. But it's a closed circle. And getting and the concept of engaging the community members, the residents, the citizens who have been here for generations, this inner circle fails to engage. And I have written a number of email blasts and have spread it out at times to over 200 people in this community who are in leadership positions with absolutely no response and no change in the last 5 years. What the city needs is to have some fresh input from outside. It's a closed, I also consider the city walled off. There's a wall around the city that keeps outside ideas and expert people well, leave it there, but from coming in. But it's I can give you lots of different examples, but the other point I will leave you with is the This was a statement made several years ago in a community meeting by a lifelong resident
Mhm.
who is not quite in that circle, but is in close by,
Mhm.
who said the city has been the most studied and most surveyed for so long that the people just ignore it.
Hmm.
What you're seeing tonight is that the people are tired of speaking to people
Hmm.
because they're not going to get listened to. It's not going to get read. It's not going to get heard. It's not going to change. The people are tired. This was stated again at an ARPA meeting just back in November.
That's important to know.
Yes, and that's one of the things I'm going to chat with
That's
you more
really
about.
important to know.
But there are studies on the city website in the PDF section.
Mhm.
There are studies at WKKF. I have at least a half dozen that I can share with you that I've sent to people throughout this community.
Mhm.
And I can swear that the ones I've sent it to have not read the studies that they themselves have authorized, paid for, and put on their websites.
You put on their websites. Okay.
So with that, and I'm not exaggerating, I have a very long scientific, medical professional, academic background. I'm speaking with facts, but they're just my image of what you do is it'll be nodded to, filed away, and there's no follow-up because you don't have any way of making them do something that you suggest.
Yeah, you definitely sound like you've been through this before.
And you are going to do all this work, and the people who aren't here know that it's not going to make a difference
Okay.
based on past decade for me and two, 3 decades for them.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that feedback, and it's really, really good to know and to hear past experiences. I loved your suggestions on understanding what the police department does to the broader community, to the average person, besides, what they have experienced in some cases, their initial contact with police. I love that suggestion, and we'll continue to move to that. Feel free to email us some of the material that you talked about, or send us an email if you have further questions about MGT and what we do. We'll be happy to speak with you about that.
And I will say the next phase of this project is working with the city to develop a strategic action plan related to DEI that will incorporate a lot of the feedback that we're gathering from the community, as well as employees, to create a actionable plan with goals that they can work with and actually implement for residents.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk behind them and make sure they do it, then fine. You take care.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So for those that are live streaming right now, what I have posted is the information for the next virtual meeting that will be held on March 22nd. That will be held from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you would like to participate in that, the links are available on the city's website, and it will also be live streamed. That meeting in particular has Spanish interpretation available. And then next Thursday, March 24th, Vernetta and I will be in person in Battle Creek hosting these 2 meetings from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. These meetings will be held at the Kool Family Center, 200 West Michigan Avenue. The second meeting of the in-persons will have American Sign Language interpretation available. And just another reminder that if you would prefer to send an email or leave a voicemail, that information is also displayed on the screen. It is battlecreek@mgtconsulting.com or 989-260-6330. And all feedback received via those channels are confidential. None of the city's employees will have access to who is saying what. That is for MGT's eyes only. That information will be aggregated.
So if you're listening, we really appreciate you joining in today. We do appreciate our speakers and our callers who joined us live during this live stream. Share the information with family, friends, colleagues, associates about the 2 or 3 actually other meetings that are coming up March 22nd and 2 on March 24th. We'd love to have more participation. And we look forward to hopefully seeing many of you and many more at our next engagement on March 22nd. So if there are no questions, I think we can end this live stream tonight. We can end the conversation and then resume again on March 22nd. Laura, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.